Well, good morning, everybody. We are reading, what is it, 2 Samuel 13 to 15. Double check that because I knew what it was and they got interrupted, but I think it's 13 to 15. So this play has played out just as Nathan had declared to David it would. When you look way back to that failing of David, where he raped Bathsheba and he murdered Uriah. And God forgave him, but he told him what was going to play out. He gave him the forecast of the future, what that was going to look like. And here we see Absalom carrying that out. And the thing is that we are responsible for our own actions. We can look at what Absalom was doing, and we can trace it back to what happened to his sister, because of his half brother, and you could say, well, he was provoked into that. But we are responsible for our actions. Even if we have a just cause, even if there is reason to explain our actions, it doesn't mean that we get to walk away from our actions. We're still responsible for it, even if you can understand the root of it. So, what Absalom was doing, he was accountable for, uh, and it was really well thought out. He had a lot of time, I guess, when he was in self isolation, when he ran away. Um, he must have had a lot of time to figure out how he was going to do this. He knew his dad. He knew how he could play his dad. He knew Joab. He knew how to play Joab. He knew the Israelites. He knew how to play the Israelites, and he was a master manipulator here, in every way. And this was well thought out. It didn't just happen. He knew exactly what he was doing. But Absalom wasn't locked into this um, just because Yahweh told David that this was going to happen, just because he told him that this is what was in his future, doesn't mean that Absalom was a pawn in something that was happening. He wasn't at all. He was not a pawn, and and he was responsible for his own actions. Just as Pharaoh was, just as Judas was, there was nothing that made them. They were not a slave to fate. It doesn't work that way. It's just that God knows our hearts. He knew that if certain things was presented to Pharaoh, he just knew how Pharaoh was going to respond to that. It doesn't mean that Pharaoh had to respond to that. He just knew he was going to respond to that. And it was the same with Judas. The Lord just knew that this is how Judas was going to react. He didn't make Judas react that way. He just knew how Judas was going to react, and the Lord knew what David's future held. He knew what Absalom was going to be like. And people say, well, why didn't he intervene? Because there's the whole thing of the free will, and because of free will, Dad lays down his plans according to what he knows. And so we can't turn around and say, well, it was in the cards, or it was written in the stars, or fate had already dictated. Every single day, there are tons of decisions that we make that we are responsible for. And we can't blame fate. We can't blame anything else. We own these. And what Dad wants us to do is to be governed. He wants our decisions to be governed by his heart, what's important to him. He wants our decisions to be framed by his love for us and our love for him. And that way, our decisions will be righteous decisions. They will be the right decisions to make. And they will always take other people into consideration. They will bring no harm to anybody. And that's what's really important for us to understand. So, yeah, no excuses. We own our decisions. You guys be blessed to be encouraged. Love you all.